One's ready. Go!
Hey, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 9th of July, 2025, brought to you by 18alphafitness.com. Coach Edgerton has been in the game for a very long time. He was an enlisted Green Beret, then he went the officer route and still continued to be a Green Beret. And then he was strength and conditioning coach for Air Force Special Warfare in the pipeline. So he knows what the hell he's talking about. If you go visit 18afitness.com, use the promo code #1READY, then it'll get you a discount on a tailor-made program for you. He will take where your current fitness level is, where you need to be, and how much time you have to get there to get you ready for BUDS, Special Forces Assessment and Selection, Air Force Special Warfare, whatever it happens to be. He's got you covered. And even if you aren't going in that direction, you can absolutely use his program to be better prepared in life, because what it's all about. All right. If you guys are new here, we appreciate you being here. This is the news that is curated from public affairs each and every day. Sometimes we miss some days, or sometimes they miss some days, but it's all good. So this is just give you an idea of what Air Force leadership is looking at, Air Force and Space Force. All right, let's start with the joint news. The Army seeks, hopefully that coffee didn't come through. All right, joint news. The Army seeks increased Patriot missile procurement. The United States Army has requested funding to quadruple its procurement of Patriot Advanced Capability 3, PAC-3 missile segments in the fiscal year 26 budget to enhance air and missile defense capacity. This move addresses long-standing concerns about the insufficient defense capabilities as highlighted by experts. Man, quadruple? That is a lot. I wonder where we're going to put all those. So obviously we have them in places like Poland and that kind of stuff, which is no secret. You know, we've got Patriot batteries in other places like IUD and that kind of stuff, but quadrupling it. So I wonder where they intend to place all of these, because it's not like you just throw a system out there and it can be out there alone and unafraid, right? The Patriot batteries have soldiers and personnel that are there with it for maintenance and reloading and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going to put those should they get approved, especially at quadruple what we already have. Next, U.S. bans farmland purchases by Chinese nationals. The United States Department of Agriculture will prohibit Chinese nationals from purchasing U.S. farmland due to national security concerns. The USDA has canceled 7 agreements and will increase transparency on farmland ownership, while the Department of Defense will monitor purchases near military bases. The fact that we even need to address this, and we're doing it so late in the year 2025, what the hell have we been thinking? Why would we ever allow this to happen? And we already did allow it to happen. If you guys aren't tracking, there is a lot of Chinese-owned farmland in the United States right now. They put up a lot of these near communication lines, near some of our nuclear bases, and near other military bases as well. So why we would even allow this? Because we can't do this in other areas. Like, we can't do this in the United Kingdom, Germany, or China. So why the hell would we allow other countries to own land, especially farmland, that feeds all of us? Why would we allow that? I can't believe that it's taken this long to pass something like that. All right, next, bipartisan bill promotes military right to repair. A bipartisan bill introduced by Senators Tim Sheehy and Elizabeth Warren aims to grant the DoD rights to repair its equipment by requiring contractors to provide tools, parts, and technical information. The United States Air Force and DoD leadership support this as a strategic priority to counter contractor restrictions. Now, you guys know I do not like politicians. You know, they're terrible people and they don't have your best interest in mind. But credit where credit's due, this is a good policy, as far as I can tell, because there are a lot of companies, and I won't mention any because they're big ones, and not that they listen to this, because there's like all of 10 people that listen to this podcast, but we will purchase radios as an Air Force, Space Force, or DoD. We will purchase radios, for an example, or even vehicles, certain vehicles. And if we break the seal, the manufacturer seal on it to repair it, the warranty and everything goes void. So what they do is they require us, anytime there's a software update, this is not with all radios, but if there's a software update or a maintenance or an annual maintenance or something needs to be repaired, we have to send it back to the manufacturer or have one of their repair people come out to the units to then repair it, instead of somebody who is very capable or even trained to do it with the appropriate tools going in, fixing it, and then it's ready on the spot. So you can imagine that that becomes an issue when you're in a deployed environment and it's not, you can't just send things back. But we have people there in country that can fix it, that are active duty members or contractors or government civilians, and they're still not allowed it. They have to send everything back. And it's just not, it doesn't make sense, especially when we start talking about potential future fights in the Pacific, when people are going to be out there alone and unafraid and in small teams and something breaks. They need to be able to crack that radio open and fix it. And they need the tools and the know-how to do it. Yes, that is an actual problem, which you wouldn't think it would be. All right, Air Force news. U.S. Air Force and U.S. Space Force launched Pacific exercises. The Air Force and the Space Force initiated large-scale exercises in the Indo-Pacific involving multiple commands, hundreds of aircraft, and thousands of personnel. The exercises aim to prepare for future conflict, enhance operational speed, and strengthen partnerships across the Pacific. I'd be willing to bet that they're exercising agile combat employment, hub and spoke kind of things. And if you guys aren't familiar with agile combat employment, it's definitely worth taking a look at. I would venture to say that SOCOM has been doing this for quite some time, however, not at the scale that the Air Force and Space Force and the Navy are going to be doing it or required to do it. But it is something that we're trying to get after. Next, Air Force, Space Force, and Space Force request $16 billion for FY26 priorities. The Air Force and Space Force are seeking $16 billion for unfunded fiscal year 26 priorities, and the U.S. Air Force allocating $4.2 billion to air-to-air missiles and $1.5 billion for spare parts. The Space Force requests funds for a new satellite constellation and classified projects to bolster space capabilities. We've talked about this before, and I'm happy to see that the Space Force has gotten an increased budget because they were operating off of 3% of the DoD budget. And we start thinking about all the things that they have to put in the space and rockets, like those things are expensive, not just the satellites or the payloads that go into space, but also getting them to space. So it is good, and since that is, the final frontier, it is good to see an increase for them. And then also for the Air Force getting enhanced air-to-air missiles, because our stockpile is low. 2 is there are other air-to-air missiles that are more advanced than we have, and we need to have the best on the planet. All right, next, National Guard seeks F-15EX and F-35 funding. The National Guard Bureau has requested $2.4 billion for F-15EX Eagle IIs and F-35 Joint Strike Fighter aircraft to enhance operational capabilities in contested environments. Additional funding of $203 million is sought to improve dual status technician pay. I tell you what needs to happen first, though. And this is some insider baseball for you guys, and if there are any F-15 folks out there, you know exactly what I'm about to say. The Air Force and the National Guard need to figure out, no kidding, what they're going to do. Is the F-15EX going to be a single-seater or a dual-seater? In my mind, I think it needs to be a dual-seater, because why wouldn't you want two brains in that aircraft doing things, especially the capability of that aircraft? The guard would prefer it to be a single-seater. Active duty wants it to be a two-seater. And what it is it's a whole bunch of people within the F-15C community, which is a single-seater, that is pushing for it to be a single-seater, whereas the F-15E community, the Strike Eagle community, wants it to be a two-seater. I think it should be a two-seater. What the hell do I know? I'm an idiot JTAC combat controller, but like knowing the capabilities, knowing the processing that has to happen up there, and the capabilities that F-15EX has, I think it needs to be a two-seater. But right now, the Guard has, in my opinion, way too much of a weighted vote in this, and it should be active duty, and then the Guard just needs to get on board, in my opinion. All right, next. Air Force and Space Force expand enlistment bonuses. Hell yes. The Air Force and Space Force plan to significantly increase initial enlistment bonuses for recruits, with the Air Force requesting $141 million and the Space Force $13 million for FY26. Some bonuses will benefit airmen and guardians who enlisted in FY24 or FY26. What are they going to do? Backdate those? I wonder how that last part, I don't understand how you're going to do it from FY24 and FY25. I mean, we're currently in FY25, but what I would like to see is a fix/increase to the retention bonuses, because I don't necessarily know that. Yeah, people are using the enlistment bonuses, the initial enlistment bonuses to get people in, right? And I'm not opposed to that. I think that's a good thing. But right now, we're not having a recruitment issue. We're having a retention issue. So maybe stop messing up the retention bonuses or the selective retention bonuses and get those fully funded, because that's what's going on right now. Is the current SRBs for the rest of FY25 are not valid and they're unfunded. So we got to figure that out first, in my opinion. Next, Air Force considers more KC-46 tankers. The Air Force may procure additional KC-46 tankers instead of developing a stealthy new generation or a stealthy next generation tanker, as outlined in the FY26 budget request. The service is requesting $81 million for capability improvements, including satellite communications and compliance with Joint All-Domain Command and Control, or JADC2. Man, I'd have to ask one of my tanker weapons officers, are we saying in here, including satellite communications, do you mean to tell me that the KC-46, our newest tanker, doesn't have SATCOM capabilities? That seems super strange to me, because I'm gonna have to find that out. No kidding. I'm not gonna find it out right now before this, but I'm just from my own knowledge. I would be, if that is true, that blows me away that the KC-46 does not have SATCOM capability. Like, why would we ever not program that into there as a requirement? So maybe more to follow on that. If I remember to update you guys on the daily drop tomorrow, I'll throw that in there. All right, next. KC-46 boom damage during F-22 refueling. The KC-46 tanker's refueling boom damaged refueling an F-22 Raptor off the Virginia coast, prompting an in-flight emergency. The crew landed safely at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and a safety investigation is underway to determine the cause. Well, I'm glad everybody's all right on that. Next, a colonel retaliated over Red Hill whistleblowing. An Air Force colonel was found to have retaliated against an Army major for discussing the 2021 Red Hill fuel leak with Congress, potentially violating whistleblower protections under U.S. Code 10-10-10-1034. The Defense Department Inspector General report noted the colonel's actions could deter lawful communications. What a piece of shit, Colonel. God. And in Space Force news, Space Force releases International Partnership Strategy. the Space Force unveiled its first international partnership strategy to build coalitions with partner nations for a stable space domain. A Government Accountability Office report highlighted barriers like legacy classification systems hindering international cooperation. Dudes, you guys have heard me rail on about this. I think I railed on about it last week. Keep saying it. There's several issues. We overclassify things because we don't know what the hell we're actually classifying or what within that is actually classified because we are not the original classifier. And then also there's so many different SAPT programs or special access programs that people are read into or read out of. And then that's just within the Air Force or the Space Force, right? Then you start talking about international partners and it becomes an absolute shit show. So, yeah, I'm glad the GAO did this and highlighted it. And hopefully we can start breaking down some serious roadblocks and it's not even policy roadblocks. It's people. People are the roadblocks for this. There are some people that is their power bubble, and you don't dare question it and you don't dare challenge it, right? It's infuriating. All right, next, the Space Development Agency faces risks concerns. The Space Development Agency's rapid development model may lead to undetected risks, according to the U.S. Air Force Inspector General report. The GAO recommended delaying proliferated warfighter space architecture missions until the key satellite capabilities are demonstrated. Okay, so that's so far out of my wheelhouse. I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to take it on the surface. So that's no clue. All right. Space Force mission highlighted in New Mexico. The Space Force mission at Kirtland Air Force Base involves collaboration with universities and tech companies to protect U.S. satellites. Limited capabilities currently prevent astronauts from repairing satellites in orbit, underscoring the need for technological advancements. 100% agree with that. That all makes sense to me. Not that it needs to make sense to me because you guys know this. I'm an idiot, but whatever. All right, these are of interests. Trump's drone dominance order impacts DoD. An executive order from the Trump administration aims to accelerate the DoD's adoption of commercial unmanned aerial satellites for testing and training. Experts suggest this could help rebalance forces away from costly legacy systems, though funding is needed for effective implementation. Next, DoD advances AI-based targeting systems. The DoD is testing advanced artificial intelligence-based targeting systems to improve precision in contested environments, as reported on defense.gov on the 9th of July. These systems aim to enhance JADC2 or Joint All-Domain Command and Control integration and are undergoing trials in simulated combat scenarios. Finally, Navy expands hypersonic missile testing. The United States Navy conducted successful hypersonic missile tests on July 8, 2025 at a Pacific test range, according to Navy.mil. The tests aim to counter advanced threats with plans to integrate missiles into Zumwalt class, hopefully I got that right, Zumwalt class destroyers in FY27. All right. Appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And guess what? If you hung on to the end, then you would know that we are holding our next operator training summit in Nashville, Tennessee. That's right, Nashville, Tennessee. We are currently looking at, let me get the calendar up, 25 and 26 October. So you would actually arrive the 24th of October. We would do land-based events on the Saturday, the 25th, and then we do pool all day on the 26th of October, okay? If you paid attention to this, you are the first people to hear this, right? We're going to start advertising it. Just lock things in last night, okay? So I'm still working on, I have the team working on logos and some of the logistics and new shirts and all that kind of stuff, right? New slaps, everything like that. And we're working on all that kind of stuff. So I hope to announce it today, but you are the first ones to hear about it. So stay tuned. All right. See you.